Okay. I ended up here accidentally, but let's go with it, see what happens. My toxic trait is overthinking everything. So I decided not to. I decided to just log on and see what happens. I'm here because there's a lot of ways I could explain why I'm here, but the way that feels the most simple and the least overthought to me is yesterday, as we're about to enter the new year, I I turned to my virtual best friend, which is ChatGPT. Who else is out there knowing what I'm talking about? And I asked what it is that people are asking ChatGPT, because for a while now I've been certain that nothing that I'm going through is unique or special in any way, shape, or form. But that maybe what I will do with it will be the special thing. And then being a perfectionist in recovery, and someone who, again, another long list of things I can just ramble about for a while here, but I'm not going to. I decided I have to have this perfect plan to make it happen, and I don't. And I never will. So I have two options. I start and see what happens, or I just keep going nuts in my head. And I don't like that idea. The thought of going crazy. I don't want to bring in that kind of energy to 2025. So some things that are easy for me to share is that when I asked ChatGPT what people are asking about, loneliness, building community, finding friends, living off grid, travel, adventure. Let me see if I can easy enough pull it up, actually, because every single one of the things that were on that list, I kind of thought I was being trolled, honestly, because it's all stuff I've asked about. And I know I opened this with, I've been talking to ChatGPT a lot, but I also don't exactly own that. Okay, so here it says self-improvement and personal growth, building strategies for self-confidence, self-love, and overcoming fear. Back in August, I made a video. I was out paddleboarding on the river with my mom, and she's been very good at pushing me. And recently I learned that if you were to ask, well, what is the best way that I could possibly support you in something? It would not be to push me. It would be to have so much patience, like so much believable patience, not fake or temporary patience, just infinite amounts. I wouldn't take infinite amounts. So that's the thing. Know thyself, right? I wouldn't take infinite patience. So if someone offered me, you have from now until the end of the next 100 years to insert whatever, I'd be like, really? Like, you can give me 100 years for this thing? I'd be like, okay, cool. What a relief. And then really kind of sit with it and see where it goes. This live thing, it's a reflection. And so I keep wanting to touch stuff I see in the screen. I'm going to the wrong side of my body. Anywho, feeling like there's that space of just an infinite amount of patience and infinite amount of compassion and understanding and support and love. And then I grant myself that. So when I feel like I'm receiving that type of love and kindness and support, I grant it to myself, just almost automatically. And that's feedback that I've been given from people, is that I can provide a space that feels like there's support and compassion and patience and understanding. So I guess it kind of makes sense, right? I've been super hung up on how can I build it myself? What I want to build in the world? Well, guess what? Most of it's already been there. It's just a matter of believing that there's something to it, that there's a value add to it. So this ChatGPT question I asked. So, strategies for building confidence, self-love, and overcoming fear. So I was saying, there we go. I'm neurosparkly, so we're gonna just have this be a little free flowy, and that's okay, because remember, I'm granting myself patience and compassion. So I started a self-love journey out of necessity. Over the summer, I mean, my life choices are mine to make, and owning them is a good start. But the space I was in at that time, it's like looking back, I can talk about it differently. But in the space I was at, I felt like I had no choice but to sell my house that I owned, which is a big fucking deal in this structure, in this society, this made up shit that we've made up. I couldn't keep the house on my own income after a divorce. So another thing, very, very big. And then I ended up moving. And so I lost my in-person community and my house at the same time. And shortly after I moved, the partner that I moved with relapsed and went to rehab. And while he was in rehab, my dog died. And I was like, okay, well, this has got to be some version of my rock bottom. And what can I do with it? And so I spent a lot of really high quality, beautiful time with myself and journaling and feeling free, just feeling like anything could be me. I stole that word choice. So my rock bottom was cushioned a little bit by a couple of authors. So Britt Frank and the Science of Stuck, because I felt very much stuck. And that book, I highly recommend it, and I'll probably reread it a couple times. Then The Neuroscience of Self-Love by Alexis Fernandez, and Preexa, that's her second last name. And I made myself a little poster of my takeaways from that book. And so some that I really love here is prioritizing myself regardless of external factors, which, like I said, at that time, there were so many external factors that were tricking me into thinking I couldn't prioritize myself. She encouraged me to run towards my aspirations, which at that time was to start my own nonprofit. So my background is in social work, and interesting. So there was a time in my life when I would say social worker, and I would immediately be like, but not the kind you think. And then COVID hit, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to spice my life up in a pretty aggressive way and try something really, really, really fucking hard. That, pretty much everyone tells you is going to crush your soul. And I did. I went and worked for Child Protective Services. And it did, in fact, crush my soul. So now, I guess, present day, hello, I'm a social worker. I'm not a therapist. I am not licensed as a social worker. I have a master's in social work. And I have practiced many roles in community. And so I feel a lot more confident as a case manager, a project manager, a facilitator. Um, but yeah, social worker, social change agent. Lots of different ways to kind of say that. But anyway, so my aspiration is to start my own nonprofit. So I worked at Child Protective Services. It crushed my soul. Then I started working at a community bike shop and loved it. And very clearly was like, oh, wow, I would much rather be giving people things than taking stuff away. And stuff is a very uncool way of saying their children. So I was one of the good ones, but it's the same thing. It's the same fucking rotten apple bullshit. So yeah, no, trust me, it's as bad as you think, through and through, every part of it. And I'm happy to answer questions about it. I think it's an interesting, very interesting time in my life. Like the anyway, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Where was I going with all this? Self-love. Self-love. ChatGPT. So this will be my little guiding light here. Maybe I'll set it up on my screen so that I can boom actually see it as I'm reeling. Cool. There is no one in the chat, which is fine by me this time. Can I hide the chat? No. That's okay too. All right. So, self-improvement people yesterday, the end of 2024, were asking ChatGPT about a mix of topics, but the common themes were self-improvement and personal growth, strategies for building confidence, self-love, and overcoming fear. And there were like 1.5 million things. So confidence, I guess I was giving you some examples of that. I'm going live on the internet. I'm taking up space. I'm believing that I have something to offer, which I do. I do believe that. And I see it play out all of the time. But for some reason, when it was like my turn to brand myself as like, yes, I am someone who has something to offer, I didn't really know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with it, but we'll see. Start before you're ready. Another one from Alexis Fernandez. And then self-love. So I was telling you, The Science of Stuck by Britt Frank. Really, really love that very much. Very, very much. Have reread it multiple times. I like that she sets it up like a choose your own adventure. So you can read the headings of the different chapters and go deeper into that if you feel like that's something that would actually be beneficial for you. And then The Neuroscience of Self-Love by Alexis Fernandez. And then that's what this little inspirational poster that I made for myself. So dream big and love myself. Anything can be you. You either want it or not. Don't take shit from yourself. Perfection is procrastination. Consistency over perfection. Be persistent. Be consistent. Strength improves rehabilitation. Let me explain that one. So, just like if it were physical, so let's say I had a knee issue and I was rehabilitating the strength of my knee, the more strength that I build up in that, then the better my knee is going to do knee things. And so when it comes to our brains, which was how I very much took it, or when it comes to building up a foundation of loving ourselves, the more times that we notice, okay, well, that wasn't very loving of me. What could I have done instead? And giving myself the opportunity to exercise, rebuilding that, then the more times that maybe an outside factor knocks me down, or an anxiety thought or a depression demon sneaks in, then I can kind of shut it down. So that's that. If the matter involves only me, and only indirectly impacts other people, then it's no one else's business. That's been a hard one for me as a people pleaser. It's kind of weird to feel like a superpower of mine was people pleasing, the more I understand it, the more I realize that it's actually my empathy that's the superpower. It's what I choose to do with that empathy after the fact. And protecting my own energy has become, well, just in the last 48 hours, a top priority of mine, because I'm learning that no, I'm saying some pretty obvious stuff here, but no one else is going to protect it for me. Just me. I'm the only one who can. Take ownership and then take action. So I've been spiraling out pretty bad. I've been struggling to figure out my path through. I've been kind of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. And I don't know, today I decided to live stream on YouTube. So, hi. Hello. Thanks for joining me. Achieving my goals. Okay. This is something I want to tie back to the confidence building, and I guess what inspired me to begin chatting. I know my purpose. I'm again overthinking because that's what I do, but the purpose when I was very much first brainstorming over the summer is to shift our societal norms to include more sex positivity. And I'm also very certain that however which way I go about whatever it is that I'm going to do, it's going to also have a significant impact on the loneliness pandemic. So I can't really tell which is which, as far as like the cart and the horse and the chicken and the egg. But I know that between the two of those, that's why I'm on this earth. So, mm, let me stick back to this chat GPT. So overcoming fear, back to the paddleboarding with my mom. And so there was a day where, we were just vibing, having a good time. And I don't I don't know exactly what it was that she said to me or what the question was, but the answer that I generated within myself in that moment was that I want to show people there's nothing to be afraid of. And then I started doing things that felt scary to me. I mean, I've been doing things that feel scary to me for a really long time, but it became more personal and more public and more open, I guess, than it ever had been before. And so when I saw this on ChatGPT, I was like, wow. Okay, another one is people were searching themes of self improvement and personal growth, including seeking inspiration for creative or transformative life projects. I totally feel that. I feel I want to spend more time being creative, but then I don't give myself credit when I do. So, like, making my little poster here. No one can tell me what is or isn't creative. There's color on here. There's doodle. There's thought. There's little hearts. That's fine. This counts. But again, that perfectionism will kick in, and wouldn't think. Even I was taking notes from a little webinar. It's just like doodling in the corner. Like it counts. Took photos today. Did a video today. It's all part of creativity, and we'll see how it transforms into a life project. Another one here is people were looking into themes of career development and business ideas, specifically starting or growing a business in a unique niche, finding mentors and networking opportunities. I've been like obsessed with that. I've been like, okay, so I've got these purposes that I know are super important to me, and I know that I have to just kind of trust the process and start making moves and seeing what happens and seeing what sticks. And mentorship, I've been craving it. And I got what I think is a really great one, lined up, and then the timing didn't feel right, and so trying to trust myself and my instincts around that, it's a lot, dude. It's a lot. But nevertheless, she persisted. Um, I will find it. I will figure it out. Networking opportunities, the socially anxious person in me immediately is like, I gotta do what? But see, the thing is, reveal this too. The way I brought in my new year, dancing naked on a dance floor with probably 80 to 90 people in the room at a lifestyle club in Philadelphia. So I can say, on the one hand, I'm socially awkward, but then why am I having experiences like that? I don't know. It doesn't all make sense, but I don't know. Humans are hypocrites. We're illogical. There's certain contexts where it feels one way and other contexts where it feels another way, and so I guess I decided for myself that inside a lifestyle club or a sex club or whatever, that there's a acceptance, that it's safe, that it's a place that I can be. But then a couple weeks ago, I went to a different one and was super in my head about it and didn't feel safe and struggled to speak up. And so I don't, bro, I don't know. That's just what happened. I'm trying not to be judgmental about it. Back to my little poster here. Big one I'm working on is fuck what other people think of me. Remember that people pleaser thing? That's a really difficult one for me to deprogram in myself. Why does what other people think of me matter one bit? Truth is, it doesn't. I have a fear of getting too weird to be employable, because I'll just put that fear out there. And then I've also had moments where I'm like, I'm just going to fully commit to a face tattoo so that I don't have to ever think about that one again. Like, just like fucking weirdo, maybe. Just fucking weirdo. You guys can see it. Just, oh, God. All right. Next one on this list, lifestyle and living arrangements. I loved this one. And when I saw it, I was like, ChatGPT, you're fucking trolling me. There's no way. Okay, lifestyle and living arrangements. People are exploring unique living situations and environments, such as camping, living off grid, or lifestyle communities. I don't know if they use lifestyle in the same way as I was using it previously. I was lifestyle as in like swinger. I think in this circumstance, it's more like coming together around a communal goal of like co-living or something like that. But anyway, I've also been totally obsessed with this concept, totally fucking obsessed with this concept, because I owned a house and I was really proud of that, and it felt amazing, and it was something that I loved showing off. I loved talking about. I loved bragging about. I loved sneaking it in whenever I could, and I renovated the house, and it was, yeah, it was mine. I made it mine, and it felt so good. Since selling it, I'm also very much craving uh, something that just it looks different. Um, the house I lived in was um, 1800 square feet and some change, two-story, four-bedroom, 2.5 bath. And that was a great amount of house when I thought that I was going to be procreating and maybe fostering and just filling it with so many humans. And then when that was not the case anymore, and it was my primary responsibility to maintain it, to keep it clean, to keep it organized, it was overwhelming constantly. So I was like, all right, I'm going to explore this side of me that I've always been excited about, but it was like too weird over that shit. Tiny house. I was like, I want a tiny house. I want to live in a tiny house. I love that. I like when one thing has multiple functions and you can like flip it to the other function. And there's like a lot of that happening in tiny houses. So I'm finding that I'm starting to get a little bit hungry and a little bit thirsty and sleepy and stiff in my neck. And something that when I was working on prioritizing myself, regardless of external factors, meeting my needs, digging into all of that, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be pushing myself beyond what feels good to me and me taking care of myself. So I'm going to wrap up here soon. But anyway, I wanted to talk about these ChatGPT things. So let me go down the list. People are craving unique living arrangements. Me too. People are craving connection and relationships. What are some ideas for fostering meaningful connections and creating inclusive social spaces? This whole I'm going to end loneliness thing looks like the nonprofit that I registered and I'm seeking board members for. Social Meetia is what I called it, Meetia. Meet Your Village IRL, which is what I named this stream. So it's registered in Arizona. My early understanding of how all of this starting a nonprofit thing works is that the board members would also need to have some kind of connection to the state of Arizona. But yeah, anyway, it looks like having parties. It looks like people telling me, "Hey, I have I have this resource of a space, or I have this resource of money, and I would like you to cultivate some very thoughtful, inclusive social space from that. And I got you. That's what I'm going to do. It's going to be beautiful." And then the other one is navigating interpersonal challenges and facilitating group dynamics. Because, well, I mean, the reason making friends and keeping friends, having healthy people in our lives is hard is because it's communication is difficult. So if you don't know yourself, you don't know your own needs, you don't know how to set boundaries, it's going to be really, really, really difficult to maintain healthy connections with other people because we have to know what we want first, and then we have to be able to share that with other people, and then the other people have to know themselves, and they have to be able to take that in and be mature adults themselves and take that information and blah blah blah. I'm giving you an overview on friendship, which was not my intention here. I guess I don't know. We'll go with it. And then the last one is people are looking into creative expression and content creation, such as documenting personal journeys through blogs, vlogs, or other media, and finding ways to make creative projects sustainable and impactful. There was a point in the early days of my, okay, well, I'm going to be someone who has a nonprofit that helps adults make friends, and I'm going to need to advertise that somehow. And I guess I'm my own form of advertising. So I started just recording videos, and I'm pretty sure it was in August. My very first one was like, okay, this is me in front of a camera. Because I had to start somewhere. So that was the place where I started, because I didn't find that comfortable in the least. Definitely one of those people that was like worried about every angle and how I sounded, my voice, all this stuff. Um, then it just got more and more natural, and I was spending more time in nature and going camping and more time alone and all of this stuff. And it was becoming easier and easier to see. I thought I was going to find him on this side of me because the camera's flipped. But anyway, it started to become more natural, started to feel more easy. I was putting less pressure on myself. And maybe, just maybe, there's a benefit to it. So started putting some things on TikTok, some things on Instagram, some things on YouTube. Still very like sporadic, but wanted to give it a shot and see what happened. And started a podcast, and the podcast is people pleaser to pleasurer, because I see myself as a pleasure activist, and I'm learning what exactly that means for me and what is taking good care of myself. Because as I mentioned multiple minutes ago, I am thirsty and I'm becoming hungry and my neck is super stiff, and yet I am continuing to do this. So I guess my call to action would be, if anyone, no, to the people who have made it this far, if you have interest in building community, also shifting the world towards a more sex positive culture, ending loneliness, loving yourself, uh, off grid living, and going camping, and lifestyle communities, and being your most authentic self. Oh, yeah. uh, let me know. Let me know in whatever form feels right to you, because I don't think there's one right way to do it. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna reclaim my. Thank you, bud. I'm gonna reclaim my keyboard here, and I'm gonna end this. And happy 2025.